Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Crime on the Record. My name is Jason. This is Candace. She is not my guest. She is the co-owner, co-creator, co-whatever to our little channel here. We had one person one time joke around about her being a guest, and it kind of stuck, but she is not. Oh, man, Karen Reed. I didn't stream the trial because I didn't want to. I should have. Maybe not every day, but most days I should have. But since then, I've been really on this thing, and we can hear you typing, babe.
Well, I was trying to send you a message to tell you I need you to be chill on this so I can use it as a podcast episode as well. Because I can't put it on the podcast if you act a fool.
I'm going to be as chill as I possibly can when it comes to this. But so, just obviously the fallout of the mistrial for Karen Reed has been a thing. We'll just say it's been a thing. And first of all, if you are anti Karen Reed and you think she's guilty, I really want you to I want to have a conversation with you. I doubt you're going to get on here, and I doubt you would say anything if you did. But
right.
if you are, let's talk about these things, because I did put 5 reasons why you're wrong about the Karen Reed trial, and I truly believe this. And I will say before we get started, not guilty is the verdict that should have happened.
Yeah.
But don't get it wrong. I didn't say she was innocent. All I said was not guilty was the correct verdict. So calm down.
Yeah.
But let's talk about a few things, because guys, what happens is Candace and I we'll start talking about whatever, and I'm like, we should have just gone live and had this conversation with everybody else, because we just start talking about shit, and that's what we do. But let me get to my notes here. Let's see. The first reason, if you believe any part of Proctor's testimony, you're a bigger idiot than I thought. It's just the truth. It is just
straight out of the gate, idiot.
Straight out of the gate. If you believe anything he says, you're a moron. You're an absolute moron. Because when some guy gets up on the stand and says everything that he said, and then has the audacity to be like, I conducted this investigation with integrity. But you don't know integrity is. You can't conduct it with integrity when you don't know what that word means. So no. Let's see. He clearly hates women. Let's be real. He hates women. He is one of those misogynistic, I'm a guy, I'm a white male, I run shit, I control everything. That's obviously what he is. It's clear. Like I said, no integrity whatsoever. And I will PG this a little bit for you, babe, since you want to put it out on the podcast. Anybody that would use, I don't even like saying the C word. It's just a word, but people freak out. But anybody that talks about women like that, and calm down, but anybody that talks about women like that, especially when you think she's a suspect in a murder, everything you say to me is just, it's irrelevant. I don't care what you have to say. Now, I'm sure people will be like, you use that word. Yeah, I did. And I'll own it. I didn't hide. I didn't say it and then got all pissy when, oh my God, I got found out. No. I'd say it straight to Jen McCabe. I'd look her dead in her soulless eyes and I would tell her that's what she was.
Oh, straight up.
When you hide behind all that stuff, get the fuck out of here. I ain't got time for that. And if you believe that his personal texts were not relevant, even bigger of an idiot than you were that you believe Proctor at all. If you those were absolutely relevant in this case.
Well, why are you using your personal phone for your business if you don't want it to be considered? My stuff is completely separate. You ain't getting any kind of text, call, nothing from me for my personal phone.
Yeah. And what's funny is everybody's like, oh, in the next trial, Proctor's not going to testify. He don't have a choice. Everything that came out in this trial is fair game in the next one. And Proctor is fair game. He's absolutely fair game. So this whole he's not going to testify. The only way he doesn't testify is if the Commonwealth doesn't retry her. He's getting up on the stand. He's going to have to read all that stuff again, word for word.
Yeah, because I mean, if they don't call him, the defense just calls him. So
absolutely.
It's not like he's going to get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, let's see. It's a murder investigation, and you're the lead investigator. Anything, it kind of goes back to him thinking that his personal texts are personal and they're not relevant. No, if you are investigating a murder, you need to look at this like, what am I saying about this investigation? Is it something that I would be okay with being up on the stand and reading and saying, hey, this is what I said, this is what I did. Like, that's how you need to conduct yourself, because like you need to do that all the time. Like Lucky, the snowplow driver, like if he would have called in that Ford Edge, game over. Like this would have been, so he should have followed the policies and procedures for being a snowplow driver, because everybody was freaking out about it. They're like, oh, he didn't call in the car, but he'll call in hitting a basketball goal. That's like, okay, yeah, he should have called it in, every single thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's a snowplow driver. If you are an investigator for a murder, in a murder, I mean, come on, everything you do or say should be above board, and it wasn't, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, the Massachusetts State Police has rehomed him because he's not fired. He's not fired. He is still a state trooper. He just is not with the DA's office anymore.
You know what though? I did see today where somebody from Channel 7 in Boston said that so this is their post. Governor Healy says she supports MSP, which is Massachusetts State's police officers, I don't know, whatever it is, move to transfer Mike Proctor out of the DA's detective unit and will now await results of their internal affairs investigation. As for the lead detective in the Karen Reed case, law enforcement sources are indicating he could resign soon. So the way they're talking, he ain't going to be there. And even if he doesn't resign, I mean, I don't think people understand how unions work. Like if you got a union job, it's pretty hard to get fired. And if you do get fired, you got to go through every single procedural step.
Yeah, this is the first step towards getting rid of him. And I mean, when this came out yesterday, I just put it on our Twitter page and I said almost there. Because I mean, this isn't good enough. I mean, it's basically the Massachusetts State Police is basically the Catholic Church, and they're just moving this priest from this area to this area. That way they can try and, just forget about this stuff over here. That's all they're doing. That's all they're doing. They just took a page right out of the Catholic Church book. But hopefully there's some momentum, and hopefully there's enough outrage that they finally do the right thing. What is very interesting though is the Massachusetts State Police saying, with the information that came out during this trial, bullshit. You knew about this long before. You knew this was a problem, and you waited for the verdict because you didn't want to, if she was going to be found guilty, I mean, people may be upset, but not as much. So you waited until this happened, and then you got rid of him. Because if it was such a big issue, if it was such a problem with conduct and personal behavior and all that, you would have gotten rid of him the day after he got done testifying, not weeks later. I mean, that's just a total political move, and you're just trying to save face, and it's just ridiculous. You should have bounced this dude already a long time ago. I mean, he's obviously a liar. He's a horrible human being. He's a terrible investigator. I mean, he has no business being there. Law enforcement officers like Michael Proctor have no business being a cop. They don't have any business being a part of something that could put you in prison. They need to go. And I mean, like, unlike a lot of people on Twitter, put him on here. I'll say that to his face. Like, I don't like, if I say it on Twitter, it's like I'm saying it right here. Like, he needs to go. He's an issue. He's a problem. Because even if Karen Reed did do it, because of him, I mean, it's going to be hard to find her guilty, because there's going to be plenty of people every single time they try and, find her guilty on this stuff, that they're going to hear Proctor and they're going to be like, I can't believe a word he says. I can't trust anybody that would act like that. I mean, he is the problem. I mean, I'm sure he's changed some hearts and minds the wrong way. That's just,
I don't even have that big a problem with what he said. Like, I don't care. It's whatever. It's the fact that he would say that about somebody he's investigating 16 hours in. Like, you've come to this determination about this person you don't know at all. And you haven't even been to bed. Like, you need at least to sleep before you make those kind of decisions.
You got to sleep on it a little bit.
Yeah. We need a sleep cycle here.
I mean, seeing stuff on Twitter about him, they're like, he followed all the leads. No, really? 16 hours in, you've already said you know what happened? Are you going to follow any other tips or anything?
Well, how did they know 16 hours in when they didn't even find the tail light till 2 weeks later? This is your big evidence you found 2-3 weeks later. So,
yeah. So, I mean, Michael Proctor, that's enough. That's enough for you to just he's reasonable doubt all day, all day long. I mean, so all right. Whether it's 1, 5, 100, when it this butt dial shit, come on.
Yeah.
Really? So 1 maybe, but when's the last time, other than 911 on the roller coaster? But when is the last time you butt dialed anyone?
I mean,
I'll wait.
I have no idea. Not a clue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When's the last time somebody's done that to you?
I mean, again, not a clue.
Again, we'll wait.
Yeah. I have no idea.
But you are trying to tell me that all those butt dials were butt dials. So take away Karen Reed for a second. Take away everything and just look at it like this. If your significant other has cheated on you, or you thought they were, how many butt dials can you look past before you know they're cheating on you?
Yeah.
Fucking 0. That's how many. Come on. So if we look at this stuff, not Karen Reed, we just look at this stuff and we say, if this was happening to me, what would I believe? Would I believe 1, 2? You might. 6, 7, 8? Nah. 10, 11, 12? That person, if you're married, that person's gone. So it's just look at it that way. And you can seriously sit here and tell me that that's okay. There's nothing sketch about that at all. Come on. And some of them were answered the same way that they were. Somebody called you with their ass, and you answered with your ass, and then you happened to both, you hung up before anything was. Come on, just honestly, just think about it. Just really think about it. You wouldn't believe that. You wouldn't believe it. I mean, babe, I know you wouldn't believe me. I mean,
negative.
And we're great. So that's just wild. All of these just make me, it makes me sigh like Bev. And you honestly listened to Trooper Paul talk about how we got the car up really fast going backwards, guys. Look how fast we are. Versus PhDs telling you this is what, when you look at those two people, when you look, just again, take it out of the Karen Reed case, take it completely out, and just look at these 2 accident reconstructions. You got whatever the fuck Paul was doing, and then you got the real thing. Honestly, the only thing they did was back this car up really fast. I mean, and the other thing they want us to believe with that is, apparently, Karen Reed was obliterated based on her blood alcohol level. Just absolutely obliterated. So you mean to tell me what is a little bit of a pucker factor of trying to go backwards that fast? You mean to tell me that this chick, who was absolutely hammered, came screaming in backwards and was able to just clip him enough to only hurt the taillight, but still throw him 30 feet? And she is absolutely hammered.
That's the thing for me, is that,
come on,
every day I have a different idea of what I think might have happened. And I don't know if she's innocent, guilty. I mean, I don't know. I'm so confused by the whole situation. But I do know they did not prove that. So I don't understand hung jury whatsoever, at all.
I think part of the hung jury, and listen, there's people out there reporting, they're saying, oh, it was 6-6, between guilt and not guilty. And until a juror on that, it was in deliberations, comes out and says that, just stop. Just everybody, just stop reporting. Just stop. You don't know what it is. You just don't. Like, unless a juror said it, you have no idea. So we don't know what it is. I find it very difficult to believe that 6 people were like, you know what? Guilty. Yep. Because the thing about it is they did not prove beyond a reasonable doubt. The fact that Proctor said, I was done after 16 hours. They never went inside that house. All of this stuff is reasonable doubt. So I think with some people, the issue is they can't believe that law enforcement officers would do this. They can't believe that law enforcement officers would do a shoddy investigation. They can't believe that they would drink and drive in their patrol cars. They can't believe, like, watch some of the trials that we've streamed lately. I mean, the trooper bathtub murder, I think it was up in Idaho. He shot his ex-wife in the bathtub. He's a state trooper. We just watched Miles Bryan, or whatever the fuck his name is. He killed a 16-year-old girl after trying to rape her. He was a police officer. Uvalde Chief just got indicted by the grand jury for his failure to do anything during the school shooting. So if you honestly think police officers are not capable of this, you're just not looking. You're just not paying attention at all. You're just, because you don't want to see it. And that's the thing with these people who get so rooted in on their beliefs. They just don't want to see anything else. I mean, until, like, locker rooms in police departments have locks on them. Come on. Like, if you have to lock up your locker because you're worried about other police officers breaking into your shit, I mean, come on. Like, you can't look at that and be like, oh, you know what? I bet you cops will never do that. Yeah, they will. They do it all the time. All the time. I mean, they're like, if you get pulled over at night, it's perfectly acceptable to call 911 to make sure that the person behind you is a police officer. Like, I mean, you just can't be sure anymore. So, I mean, so you take it out of the case. Stop looking at it like the lens of I'm trying to prove that I'm right, and just look at it, like, really look at it objectively and say, if I was making a decision, say it's a civil suit, if I'm making a decision on who is at fault for this, and I look at those 2 accident reconstructions, which one are you believing? Like, just that piece. The reason people want to believe one or the other is because they're already firmly, she's guilty or she's not guilty. So when you look at this stuff, you're like, you know what? I can, that doesn't make any sense because it doesn't fit my narrative. Take this stuff out and look at it by itself. And if you tell me that you look at these 2 accident reconstructions and you're like, you know what? They're the same. Come on. No, they're not. They're not even close.
I couldn't do anything but laugh when I saw that trooper fall. I'm like, so you went to a parking lot and you backed up pretty fast. Like, that's it. That's your whole scientific.
Like, it just made me think of like a 6-year-old that got new shoes and was like, look how fast I am. Like, that's the only thing. Like, you went backwards. That's it. You went backwards. I've done it before. We had to do it when we're doing combat driving. We had to do it. It is sketchy. Like, when you're doing it the entire time you get up to that kind of speed in reverse, it's super sketchy, but it doesn't prove anything at all.
No, not at all.
So help me out. I may not have this exactly right, but the timeline by the Commonwealth is also, it's a little difficult to understand and follow. Like, what time did she hit him? Was it like 12:41? I mean,
who the hell knows?
I know, right? 12:41, 12:42. Like, was it around that? Because, I mean, she connected to the Wi-Fi at 12:36.
Yeah.
It's a blizzard. It's like, what, 5 minutes on a good day to make it from his house to 34 Fairview?
Longer than that, I think. I think they said 7-8 minutes.
But let's give them 5, because that puts her connecting at 12:36, getting there at 12:41 to hit John O'Keefe. Was she coming in backwards? Like, how exactly did she get there, flip that car around, hit him after they had a confrontation, by the way, and after there was some issue or whatever? Like, and you're trying to tell me that happened? Like, you couldn't even get the Commonwealth to tell me the exact times. Like, it was this time over here, then we got this. Like, if you can't give me a timeline where you're not contradicting one another, I mean, come on. Like, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense for a guilty verdict. I'm not saying she didn't do it. Shit, she may have ran him down. She may have had this whole thing planned. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, you didn't prove that there could have been something else. Like, I know that we argue back and forth a little bit with this Koberger thing because I think touch DNA is bullshit. I don't believe in it. I don't buy it. I don't anything. But I mean, it is hard to get past the idea that how did they get his DNA? So even though I'm kind of against this whole touch DNA, I can still understand and see how if you can tell me the cell phone stuff and you can prove all that, then it's going to be hard for me to get past a guilty verdict. But if you tell me that you can't prove the cell phone stuff of where he actually was, I don't know. And it's starting to get to more not guilty. So I mean, it's not hard. It's not unreasonable to think something else happened. It's just not unreasonable. There's that pesky word, reasonable, unreasonable.
Have you seen the thing that the State Police Association put out today?
Oh, yeah, I've got it on here. We'll get to that in a second.
Gotcha.
Because that's just like that's just terrible too. That's just, I mean, they should have just kept their mouths shut. All right, so the timeline, accident reconstruction versus whatever Trooper Paul did. The Buthows, come on, really? Obviously Proctor. But the last thing is anything McCabe, Albert, anybody that's associated with them and friends, if you believe anything they're saying, I mean, come on. I mean, and I'm not saying that they're lying because I think Karen Reed is innocent. I'm saying they're lying because it was proven while they were on the stand that they were lying. Or that one chick that's like, I don't even know who she is. And then after she got off the stand, there's tons of pictures with her and everybody else that she didn't know. I mean, you can't believe anything these people are saying. And because you can't believe them, that's reasonable doubt. She may have very well killed him. Who knows? You'll never convince me. Actually, if there is somebody in here that disagrees with me, I'd really like to know like your thoughts. I even set out on Twitter that, if somebody wants to jump on here with me, I'll send you the link. We can get on here and have a real discussion about it. But I'm going to venture to guess that anybody that thinks that she did it, you don't have the ability to have a real conversation with anybody. You just want to hide behind a keyboard and not provide anything other than she looks evil. I mean, a lot of people look evil and don't mean they did it. I mean, she might be a bitch. She kind of looks like it. That doesn't mean anything. That's not good enough to be like, oh yeah, let's put her in prison forever. Like, I would love for somebody to come on here and explain it to me. Like the way that you see it. Explain it to me because I don't see it. And I would like to. I mean, because it's out of control out there. I mean, it's gotten so bad that like women are body shaming other women. Like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you, lady? Like women are the worst thing that's ever happened to other women. Like, I don't know what your problem is. Like, what are you doing? Like, this chick does not know you. Karen Reed does not care about you. I mean, and she shouldn't. Like, she doesn't have to. So all you people are getting all riled up about this stuff. She don't care about you.
They kill me with that. These people are like, oh my God, I cried when I heard the verdict. I'm like, why? You don't know this lady. Like, we don't know her. She doesn't know us. Like, because you could die today and Karen wouldn't be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry about Sarah. No. Like, y'all don't know each other. You're not tight like that. Chill out.
It doesn't make sense. The bigger issue is everybody is too busy arguing with one another about whether she's guilty, whether there's that we are completely looking past the real issue. Cops like Proctor. That's the issue. The fact that you could have some kind of investigation like this, and you could be at the defense table because of people like Proctor and these other people that really have no idea what they're doing. I mean, could you imagine if somebody was like, you know what? We found this DNA. We can prove that it's you. We grabbed it in red Solo cups. Like, you don't collect evidence in shit like that. You just don't. The fact that you told me that you got this stuff and you put it in red Solo cups and in gas station bags, that's reasonable doubt enough for me right there. Like, you just can't do that. You cannot do that. And that's the bigger issue. Karen Reed, guilty or not, It is sad that John O'Keefe lost his life, regardless of how it happened. It is sad. It is sad that the family's mourning. I don't know how I feel about him all the time, but it is sad that that's happening. But the problem is we're looking completely past what the real issue is here. The fact that you can go to a city and be railroaded by law enforcement officers and everybody's okay with it. And the fact that all of this stuff is coming out, whether she did it or not, she was railroaded to it. I mean, you can have other people. Like, I'm glad we already visited Massachusetts. It's not a state I ever want to go back into. I mean, if you've got people like Proctor, and then you've got, and I understand what you're saying about unions and everything, but like they should have taken this step immediately. Because I mean, I fully believe that they knew about this Proctor stuff long before it got to trial.
Yeah,
and I was listening to Defense Diaries, and they said something about a Brady violation if they would have known and had him go up there. I don't know all the legal talk, but that's the reason why they waited, so they could say, we didn't know. You knew. You absolutely knew. Proctor's the issue. These kind of investigations are the issue. Idaho, copying and pasting a probable cause affidavit on quadruple homicide. That's an issue. Like, sloppy police work is the issue. And I'm not even sure it's corruption. I just think we've always done it that way and nobody's ever called us on it. So, I mean, the true crime community takes all this flack about how they're just grifters and they just want to make money and they don't care about families. But then when you actually see an issue like this, nobody does anything. Like, we should be burning that place down until Proctor's gone. We should be burning that place down until a real investigation is done into what else they've done. Because guess what, people? Brian Walsh is coming. And Trooper Proctor was part of that. And a lot of their evidence hinges on cell phone searches. I mean, the Commonwealth blew their own case up trying to prosecute Karen Reed because they put people up there that's like, I mean, you never know when people search stuff, what time that actually happens. And then you're going to get Brian Walsh and be like, we know what time you searched for this. No, you don't. According to you, Commonwealth, you have no idea. So we've got somebody that's going to be on trial for murdering and dismembering his wife. And then we got these people that's going to be the ones that's going to try and prosecute that. It's just dangerous. Anything else that Proctor's been a part of, what's going to come from that? Like, that's the real issue. I mean, like, I don't want somebody to go free if they did do it. But, I mean, there's reasonable doubt all day. We need to focus on what really, like, I don't want to say what really matters, because solving somebody's murder and bringing somebody to justice is important. But we're not going to solve the other stuff, like what really needs to be solved, if we're arguing about this bullshit. I mean, if you truly look at all this stuff outside the lens of a courtroom and you just look at these singular things, there's no way you get to Proctor's okay. His investigation was okay. The accident reconstruction, that's totally cool. You just went backwards. We can buy that. 12 butt dials? Sure thing. Not an issue there. Like, you take all that stuff out and you're like, okay, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. And then when you add all that stuff together, it's called reasonable doubt. It blows my mind that these people can just continually say that there's nothing going on. It's cool. I mean, you could say all that stuff about a murder suspect and then not be biased. That's cool. It's confirmation bias. They knew who it was, and then they tried to produce evidence that proved their case. I mean, it's the reason why they didn't call old Crash Daddy, as everybody's calling him. I mean, there's a reason why they didn't call real experts. It's because it didn't fit with their narrative, because they already knew what the answer was. Now they just had to find evidence to fit that. That's backwards. That's not how it's supposed to work. So I would still love for somebody to explain this to me. And then, like, some of this stuff, like, regardless of who did it, why are people killing turtles and then hanging them outside?
God, right?
Like, what is wrong with you?
Like, I cannot even believe that.
Like, and of course, the people that believe Karen Reed, killed John O'Keefe, they say that Aiden, I can't do Turtle Boy. And if anybody thinks, like, I would never align myself with anybody like that, I wouldn't align myself with somebody that's called Turtle Boy. Like, I just can't do it. So no, I don't believe everything he says. And in fact, I don't even like we share a Twitter, and there's plenty of people I wish we didn't have to follow. he's one of them, and I know why we follow him. We follow him because there's crazy shit that happens, and sometimes it's interesting and or just funny. I can't stand it. If it was up to me, we wouldn't follow that guy. But like I can't handle him. So I'm never going to be aligned with him. Even if something happened to my family and he was like, on our side, I still wouldn't align with this guy. Couldn't do it. But somebody killed a turtle and then hung it outside his parents' house. Like, really? Over some chick that you don't know? That doesn't care about you? Because you're worried about like being right? Like what is wrong with people? I just don't understand it. And if somebody on the Karen Reed is a killer side, if you can explain that to me, I'd love to hear that. Would love to hear it. Ugh. How do you feel? And I'm gonna start asking you questions a little bit back, but how do you feel about?
Oh, I get to talk.
Well, I told you at the beginning before we even jumped on here that I had everything that you just needed to correct me, and I'm never wrong. So you haven't had a chance to speak. So I'm going to ask you some questions. Do you think it's ever okay for family members to? I mean, it is what it is. It's a threat. Do you think it's okay for family members to threaten defendants on their way out after a mistrial?
Okay, I'm not as upset about this stuff as other people are. Yeah. I mean, people grieve in different ways. And if you truly believe that person murdered your sibling, I'd have said that and a lot worse. I'd probably laid hands on somebody they hurt one of my brothers. So I'm just being real. And nobody knows what he said because everybody thinks they know what he said, but nobody knows. Nobody that's heard it has been able to say, this is what he said.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, if it was my brother, I don't know how I would act. And I've said that plenty of times. I don't know how I would act. So I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think it's a good look. But I also don't think the look that she made after he said that was good either.
But I mean, even that, I get like
I did too. Yeah.
You're so frustrated and annoyed, and you just got a mistrial. So at least she had to have been sitting there like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I could be going to prison today. I mean, that's terrifying. So, in that moment, she was very happy and very relieved. And then for somebody to say something to just ruin all of that for you, yeah, you'd be angry.
Yeah, I mean, I can see both sides of this. I can see acting that way, and I can see people seeing that behavior as negative from both sides. I can see it all. And until we're in that situation, I mean, I don't think we can really
it is negative. It's obviously negative. We can't all say that we wouldn't do something negative.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. I don't know how I would react. I'm not sure. So, I mean, I'm not faulting either side. I do think if you're a defendant, like, and I'm sure Jackson and Unetti told her, but you need to be making zero facial expressions. And
all the facial expressions during the trial were not a good look for her.
No, because if she is truly innocent, I completely understand why she made some of those faces like, what? What are we doing here? Really? So, I mean, I could see if you're innocent, but if you're guilty, you also may do that. So any facial expression you make is negative. It's going to be seen as negative on you. I mean, I think she just needed to sit there as stoically as possible, which also would be difficult. I don't know how I would react. Well, I can tell you, I wouldn't be there. I would find a way to get out of the country. There's no way I'm putting my trust into 12 people that have no idea what reasonable doubt really is. I'm just not doing it. I'm leaving. I'm out. So not done. Poor turtles. And then there's the little things like conspiracies cover up all that. Like they said that because of a mistrial, they are not releasing the juror lists. The issue with that is, and I mean, I don't think you should release that. I don't think people, when it comes down to a mistrial, I don't think you need to even, you don't need to know who those people are. The issue is they've released it before, and they've released it from a court case that old Judge Bev was over. So when you don't release it, even if there's a good reason for it, and like I said, I don't think you should release that stuff if it's a mistrial. I don't even know how I feel about releasing it for any trial, regardless of verdict.
Yeah.
But when you do it a few times before, and then you don't do it for this one, there may be absolutely nothing improper about that, but it looks like there is, and that's what they hold on to. And so I don't know. I think if you've done it once before, you should do it all the time. If you're making an exception, I think you need to come out and say something. Because I mean, this whole trial has been about cover up, corruption, all that, and then you just have that appearance after the trial is over. I think you need to come out and say, "Hey, we're not releasing it because of this," because people are going to ask. Because they did. Like 5 minutes after they said they weren't going to release it, there was people on Twitter, "Oh, it's a cover up even more." I mean, I think you need to be transparent. You have to be absolutely transparent. All right. So this person is a lawyer. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's his Twitter. And I don't feel bad about telling you this because I mean it's Twitter. It's public. But he said the evidence is just too strong. Anybody who told you it was a one and done either was ill-informed or purposefully misleading. I mean, he was replying about the Commonwealth retrying her, but even if you think there was evidence, which I mean, I guess if you believe the Commonwealth there was, too much. Too much? Like,
yeah, I wouldn't say that. I definitely wouldn't have said that.
Too much, and you're a lawyer. Too much. First of all, there could never be too much evidence. So first off, I mean that's dumb as hell. But in this case, please, somebody explain it to me. Explain to me where the too much evidence comes in. I mean, they're like you got a 6th grade physics lesson from Trooper Paul, and you've got nothing but a misogynistic liar as a lead investigator. That's too much. That's what's too much.
You know what the funniest part of that is? I just pulled up that guy's Twitter page. And one of his posts say, "I'm steadfast in my commitment to provide unbiased analysis on any trial I cover." Are you though? Are you?
Look, I don't know if I'm biased. I believe what I believe, but if you tell me otherwise and you prove it to me, I can come to your side. I can come to your way of thinking. But nobody's explained it. Nobody's told me where all this evidence is. Nobody's told me where, and I mean, even jurors, I don't know how many, but they say there was overwhelming evidence to prove and to meet the burden of beyond a reasonable doubt. Somebody please explain it to me. Like, dumb it down for me. Like, tell me where. Tell me where. Because
I am honestly, with her on this. This is what really got me is, them saying that she called her parents before she went looking for him and said, "I think I struck something." And I know her dad has been quoted as saying that she told him that. And that's interesting. I mean, like, that's pretty coincidental that you thought you might have struck something, but you didn't know what it was. And then all of a sudden they think that. But at the same time, physics say it didn't happen. So I'm very confused.
Yeah. And I think this is something that we have to look at. Like, could it be a thing? Let's look at it from, like, if you believe John O'Keefe was hit by Karen Reed, then you see this as damning evidence that proves it. Let's say you think she's innocent. I mean, what if while driving in a blizzard, absolutely obliterated, she thought she did hit something and she didn't think it was him because she wasn't at the scene when she thinks it happened, and she called her dad for help. I mean, that's not beyond the realm of possibility. But when you add it to she hit John O'Keefe, then that's incriminating. But the Commonwealth didn't prove that. They can't even tell you what time they think it happened. And if you ask Jen McCabe, the car was there long after the Commonwealth said it was gone, or vice versa. Like, and that's the issue. Like, you don't have a firm timeline of this to this. So I mean, yes, it looks bad, but there could be a perfectly, harmless explanation for it. But yeah, don't get me wrong, that looks bad. That looks horrible. It looks really bad. And if you would have had an investigator that said, I went inside that house, we searched it, there was nothing there. We looked for blood, we looked for this, there wasn't anything there. We took swabs of his arm, there was no, there's no animal stuff on there. There's nothing. I mean, if you were to lay all that stuff out, put a real construction from an accident up on the stand, and let's see that. Then that stuff starts to look like it's incriminating. I mean, her calling her dad is no more or less incriminating than them trying to tell us that 12 butt dials is a thing. Because if you flip this around, right? If you flip this around and all the stuff from the defense was the prosecution's case against all of those at 34 Fairview, there's no way you don't get to guilty. Just flip all that evidence around and you start seeing butt dials, you start seeing lies, you start seeing a bad investigation, no real accident reconstruction. You start looking at all that stuff. Everybody in that house is guilty as hell. I mean, because the back of his head, I mean, his arm, say Chloe bit him. He ripped, he pulled away. He fell back. He hit his head on stairs. Like all that stuff starts to look reasonable. It doesn't look crazy. So if you were to flip all this evidence around, whoever's in that house, y'all going to jail. I mean, there's just too much evidence. And when there's that much evidence towards somebody else, it's reasonable doubt. Somebody explain it to me, please. From the Karen Reed's a killer, please explain it to me from your side. And not and stuff just because it just did. Like, I don't need another, cross-examination of Trooper Paul. Like, actually explain it to me. I'm willing to listen. All right. So this statement from the State Police Association, behalf of 2,000 men and women, blah, blah, blah. Their thoughts are with the O'Keefe family. We remain hopeful that justice will be served. This is where it gets a little, I don't know. The trial shined a bright light on our judicial process and the nuances of legal proceedings. It also blurred the lines between fact and innuendo presented during the defense of the accused. All right. Slow down, because whether you want to believe it or not, Karen Reed is still not guilty. So for them to come out and be like, yeah, I mean, some bad stuff happened and she's guilty, but, they blurred the lines. Well, I mean, defense is supposed to blur the lines. I mean, like that's not, they're supposed to. Let's see. While the courts consider next steps, the focus has shifted to yesterday's disciplinary action taken against Trooper Michael Proctor. It is our understanding that this discipline came as a result of the trooper's private text message exchanges that were made public during the trial. We also understand that it has no relationship to salacious allegations of cover-ups, collusion, or conspiracies offered by the defense. So far, this doesn't feel like they are coming out and saying, Trooper Proctor is not who we want in our ranks. Basically, they're coming out and saying, those were private and the defense somehow got him in there, and now that's what's happening. Regardless of how it came to light, like, you should be thanking the defense. You should be saying, thank you for showing us who Proctor really is. That's all you need to say. You don't need to say anything about blurring the lines and the defense did this. The defense did your internal investigation. Like, they gave you part of the internal investigation. You just need to say, Trooper Proctor's a shitbag. He has no business being a cop. We're working on removing him. Statement done.
It's funny, too, how they didn't even mention the drinking and driving in his patrol car, any of that.
And then, like, this is laughable to me. The association is proud of the work our members do each day, as well as the fact that our Massachusetts homicide solve rate is the envy of the country. Is it? I don't think there's anything the Massachusetts State Police does that anyone else is envious of. Well, other than getting away with it for this long before anybody found out what the, conduct of your troopers actually are. That's probably the only part that anybody is envious of. Other than that, come on, really? You're going to say, like, you're gonna say that like with a straight face when you were typing this? Is like, yep, this is the apps. Yep, this is it. We're the envy. Oh, you're not. Oh, you're not. But they did say, at the same time, we must be clear that we do not condone the language used in text messages presented as evidence during the trial. Again, like you are saying, we don't condone these text messages, but the defense still presented them as trial and they shouldn't have, blah, blah, blah. Like, let's also, you can't stop at text messages. You need to also discuss how he didn't do a real investigation. He knew who did it in his mind less than 24 hours after it happened, and then found evidence to fit that narrative for him. Like you're, for me, this just kind of shows the culture of Massachusetts State Police. The fact that when something this horrific comes out that one of your lead investigators is doing, who makes almost $200,000 a year, this stuff comes out, and all you say is, "Oh, their text messages are bad." No, you need, like, everything he does is bad. Problem is if you say that, what's going to happen with Brian Walsh's trial? What's going to happen with other investigations he's been a part of? That's the issue. But I mean, just to come out and say his text messages, those were bad. But I mean, if not for the defense, nobody would have ever known. Well, no, like, no.
Oh.
You need to rip this Band-Aid off. You need, like, instead of doubling down, you need to distance yourself from this guy, like, just completely. Like, when I read this, it's just wild to me. And then also the Massachusetts State Police, so whoever that guy was that came out yesterday and talked about Proctor being, put on administrative leave or removed from the DA's office, talking about how they still conduct all their investigations with the utmost integrity. No, you don't. You don't. You don't. Because it's not bad enough that Proctor was saying this to his friends. He was also saying this stuff to his supervisor, who then also didn't have a problem with what Proctor was doing. And the fact that Proctor could say those types of things to his supervisor and his supervisor not do anything about it tells me everything I need to know. It's the culture of the Massachusetts State Police to be like that. It just is. And prove it otherwise. I mean, you are the best or the worst of what's going on. And right now, that's the worst. And the fact that he was able to talk to his superior officers like that and they did nothing, it's culture. It's acceptable. It's okay to talk like that. It's not a big deal. Well, now it is a big deal because you potentially aren't going to be able to put a murderer in prison. I don't think there's any jury where there's not at least one or two people that listens to Proctor and is like, nah, no, we're good. We can't put her in prison because of this. So all these people that are mad, Karen Reed's guilty, like, focus your anger where it's supposed to be. Your anger should be directed towards Proctor and the Massachusetts State Police. That's where it should be. Not Karen Reed, not the people that support her or against her. The real issue is him. He's the reason that this prosecution didn't go the way they wanted it to. He's the reason that I don't think O'Keefe is ever going to get, I don't think he's going to get justice. I think it's going to be extremely difficult to retry this case and win. I don't know how you do it. Because all the stuff that was in the first trial, you're going to be able to bring that in. The Sally Port video, that whole inverting it, they're going to have plenty of time to prove that it happened. Maybe the Commonwealth had plenty of time to prove that it didn't. But I just don't know. I don't know if you give Jackson and Unetti that much time with knowing what the prosecution's case is. And
yeah, that does not seem like a good idea.
And I mean, and I am so against adding lessers. When you do lessers included, all you're telling a jury is find them guilty of something. And I know it's money. It's this. No, if you're going to try and put somebody in prison for the rest of their life, then you get this charge. And if that doesn't stick, okay, maybe you come back with something else. But it's just incredibly unfair. It's just, I mean, Candace hears this all the time. She's probably sick of it, but it's just another way the deck is stacked against defendants in our criminal joke of a system. That's all it is. It's just, okay, well, we didn't prove that, but I mean, she still did something, right? So here's 12 other things she could have done. Make sure you find her guilty on that. Like, I'm so against it. And isn't a mistrial, like, in a way? I mean, that's kind of reasonable doubt. Like, you didn't, and I know we can't have that. I know we can't have, non-unanimous, verdicts. I get that. But the fact that not everybody can say, yeah, this is what happened. I mean, that's right there. That's enough. That's reasonable doubt. If you can't prove it to 12 people, I don't know. Is that enough for your podcast, babe? Because I don't want to ignore the comments.
Oh no, I can't put this on there, so it's fine.
Yeah, you can.
Negative.
We'll edit it. We'll get there.
Have at it.
Yes, she has new glasses on because she broke her kindergarten ones.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you. And I kind of like these. I like the color, but they're too heavy. It's killing my nose, man. I need my good ones. I'm gonna have to go use my little soldering thing I got to try to put my glasses back together.
Burn the house down.
Well, we'll see.
I mean, I think accidental could be a thing. I don't know. I mean, she was so mad at him. I mean, and that's the other thing that, like, people can't look past, because when she, those voicemails and stuff, there were so many people that, like, I mean, I've been there. I've said those things. I've had people say that. And then you have these people, my marriage is perfect. I've never had anyone say that to me before. Okay. Yeah, you have. Yeah, you have. We've all thought those things about,
I mean, I call you a bitch like 3 times a week at least.
Yeah. I mean, and here, if you like, it depends on who you believe. But in this case, like, not even the Commonwealth's, witnesses were sold on. It was he was hit by a car. And the other thing, like, too, is they put all those witnesses up there, and they're like, oh, she's too old. She doesn't know what she's doing anymore. Oh, he's too old. It's like, we got a dude that's 81 years old that's running the country. Like, and people are voting for him. So it shouldn't matter. Somebody's got 30 years of experience. They can sit and testify to things. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're talking about the text messages. I mean, yeah, you're talking to other law enforcement officers about that. I mean, what if you're talking to, an officer who's only got a couple years, with the department, or he's been a detective for a year? I mean, that stuff's going to bleed over into what they think without them realizing it. Like, it's just okay to talk about suspects like this. It's just okay to ignore other potential, possibilities. I mean, it's just not about this one. I mean, you guys are talking about change of venue. I don't know if change of venue would matter. You think?
I don't know that, because I mean, like, how far could they feasibly go away from there? And I don't think you're going to find anybody in the state who hasn't heard about this case. Not many. I mean,
North Korea, I think you could probably do a change of venue there. I mean, I don't think there's anywhere in America where you could. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know if they'd even be able to, even if they could move it, where? I don't know where they'd move it to. Oh yeah, the Sandra Birchmore case. They've been talking about that a little bit more. That's another one where it's just like, how do you not look at that and say, this could have happened? I mean, she was 16 in the Explorer program when she started. They groomed her. They basically passed her around to all these different officers. One of them.
I mean, I think she was like 13 when she started. I think she was like 15-ish, and they were having sex with her. It was ridiculous.
And then one of the cops followed her into her apartment building. He came out. She did not, but definitely suicide. And from what I understand, is that they think that she was pregnant. She was about to bust them all out for it. Like, how many times do we watch something where that's exactly the reason why somebody was murdered? But they're like, nah, it's suicide. It's definitely suicide.
Yeah.
There's too much in that case that makes absolutely no sense.
I'm very intrigued too about what the feds are investigating. Like, what are they investigating? Because for them to have the accident reconstruction people, they investigated this specific case. Why? You know, like if there's not a conspiracy, which I have a hard time with that as well. I get why people have a hard time with it because I do too. But if not a conspiracy, what are they investigating that led them to this case? Like, I don't understand that.
But if the whole Fed investigation, I mean, obviously it's still rumors because nobody's confirmed it. So if the Fed investigation rumor is like all the other rumors that are out there, nothing will happen. Because I mean, during this trial, there was so many rumors where people like, I mean, they're not going to put Trooper Paul on the stand. I mean, they did. They can't put this witness, and then they did. It was just all these rumors that were either wrong or never even happened. So I don't know. And how much of it will we hear? I mean, let's see. What do you think, babe? What do you think?
About what?
All of it.
I don't know. This case is probably more confusing to me than any of them I've listened to, especially recently. I mean, it just neither one makes sense. Like, I don't see how there's any way that she hit him, because people who are a lot smarter than me have shown us how physics makes that impossible. But at the same time, it's very hard to believe that there's this huge conspiracy. Although, is it, when I think about it, see, this is how my mind works, because then I'm like, is it though? Because we're talking about this good old boy system, and I could see a lot of these guys being like, I don't even think so much it's like, okay, hey, we're all going to frame this person. I need you to do this, this, and this. I think it's like, he's my buddy. I don't really give a shit if he did it or not, so I'm going to go along with this. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying I don't think it's conspiracy. I think it's culture.
Yeah.
I think they've always done it like this. I think there's never been an issue. I don't think Karen Reed's the first suspect that he's talked to like that or talked about like that. I don't think it's a conspiracy. I don't think it's a cover up. I think it's just culture. And I think it's just, we know this person did it, whether they did it or not. Now we're going to find evidence to fit that. Because I mean, I find it very difficult to believe that somebody's dead on a front lawn and you don't go in the house. I mean, it just makes absolutely zero sense to me. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, we listened to that one retired homicide investigator, and he said that you don't always, it's not an immediate have to go in the house. All right. I can understand that. But in this situation, when you don't know what happened and there's just a guy that's dead or almost dead on the front lawn, and your first is, all right, this chick hit him. All right, now let's prove it. It's not how it's supposed to work. I mean,
see, I kind of think that's the issue. Like, or not the issue. I think that's what happened. Like, you may not have probable cause to go in initially, especially considering how far down he was, out there by the flagpole. I mean, they may have not even thought that was, like really in their yard. You know what I mean? Like, it was way down there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could see how they didn't originally immediately think, oh my God, we need to go try to get a warrant. But like, once you talked to them and found out he was there that night, I feel like maybe you should have done something. But I think that they just, immediately thought she hit him, and they were like, okay, well, wrap that up.
Yeah.
Let's go.
that I can believe, that I can get behind, and the reason I don't think it's conspiracy or cover up is there's too many people involved. There's no way you have that many people involved and all of them stay true to the message and don't rat each other out, even when there's pressure applied. And so, I mean, so that's why I don't think it is. I think it's culture. I think they've always done it this way, and it's always been fine. And now it's not. And I think that's really what it is. I don't think there's a conspiracy. I don't think there's anything like that. I think this is somebody got tunnel vision, and they've always gotten tunnel vision for all of their cases because that's how they operate. And this is just the first time somebody's called them on it. I don't think it's conspiracy. Just no. I mean, you can't keep that. What's that saying? Two people can keep a secret as long as one of them's dead. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the same thing here. I don't think that many people could get together. Plus, I mean, do we really think these morons could get together and hold a conspiracy together? No, that can't. I mean, they can't even bring evidence bags to a crime scene.
I don't even think anybody would have told Trooper Paul. They'd have been like, keep his ass in the dark because we don't know what he might say. Like, I mean,
right.
Because it did. I mean, he just, bless his heart. My God.
And you know, like, part of me is kind of like, I feel for the guy. A lot of me is not. Right? I mean, you shouldn't get up on the stand and be like, because. Or when Jackson was asking him all these terms, he's like, I don't know exactly off the top of my head, but I am familiar with it. No, you're not. Come on, just say you don't know.
Like, but see, that leads me more to the good old boy thing, because I feel like he probably, like, I don't see him like in on any conspiracy. I think they put someone who is not qualified to do that job in a really shitty position by making them do that job and then get on the stand and testify to something they're not an expert in. Like, why make him get up there and do that? I think he's like good enough for what they normally see. It's not that big deal, but something like this, I don't think he has any idea how to actually do. I mean, hell, you know he doesn't, because he was saying in there that what he say? Well, I saw this on court TV or something. It's like, dude, when you're getting your information from court TV after the trial started, I don't feel like you should be up here talking about it.
No, you shouldn't. Yeah, I mean, you can't put, and I'm completely with you. Like, I don't believe conspiracy at all. I don't believe cover up. I don't believe all that. I just think, like you said, it's a good old boy system, and it's always worked. And this time it didn't. And now there's huge consequences to that. I mean, potentially Karen Reed goes free. She may have actually done it. That's an issue. Brian Walsh trial coming up. That's an issue. Just, I mean, people keeping their jobs. I mean, Proctor, I don't know if he'll ever be completely terminated. He absolutely should. But I don't know. I mean, maybe they just move that priest to a different diocese. I don't know. I mean, but they've just never been found out before. And that's what happened here. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, because if they could do that with Sandra Birchmore case, like, nothing really would shock me. And maybe that's, another case that we need to do. Like, maybe that's something we need to cover. So, just another group of people covering that so that it gets more and more coverage. I mean, I think people need to know what they are doing in this godforsaken state. Like, what the hell is going on in Massachusetts? Get it together.
And the other thing is, it's like, we talk about it. Nobody gives a shit what we got to say, which is fine. But because there's so much press and publicity, you're going to have real investigative journalists that are going to go in there, and they're going to start finding stuff. Because before, it would have just been, it's just some story about some random place in Massachusetts that nobody's ever heard of. Now it's a huge story about what the culture is like there, and they can start uncovering things, and everybody's going to want to know about that. So that's another big issue that they have, is they're going to have all these people that have all these resources, and they're way smarter than I am. They're going to go in there, and there's going to be some bad stories that are going to come out. And I don't know how it gets worse, but I mean, I have a feeling that's some of the stuff that's going to happen.
Well, and I mean, everybody else can say whatever they want to about Turtle Boy, Aiden, whatever you want to call him, but if not for him, nobody would know about this case. Like, people could say whatever they want to about him. I mean, I don't really have an opinion. I don't really care either way, but like, you have to at least say he owns his shit. Like, he is who he is. He doesn't really apologize for it, which I respect, even if I don't always like. I respect someone doing that. And I mean, if not for him, people would not know her name. She would not be a household name.
No.
So, and I don't know what his fake award was years ago or whatever that is. But I mean, if he got an award for something to do with this, I would be shocked, but I could get past it. I would be like, you know what? All right, he did some hard work on that, and he has. So,
well, I mean, whether you
I'm
like
like
them or
the
not.
nicest sounding asshole.
You really are. You really are. You really are. But at the end of the day, whether you like him or not, like, I mean, he's got to have a ton of money coming in. I mean, I don't know what he did before this, but I know now all he does is cover this trial, and he's got plenty of money coming in, and he's getting hundreds of thousands of followers and subscribers. So, like him or not, I don't like him. I don't like the way he does things. I don't like the way he conducts himself. And you go by Turtle Boy, for God's sakes. That's the worst part of it. Like, but I mean, it's working. I mean, it's working.
I don't like the trying to intimidate people, any of that. I don't love any of that. Just like I don't like old Bullhorn with her tactics. I don't like tactics like that. I also think they're how true crime community gets a bad name. I think that people like that are why people like us get called names, because we're just trying to get the word out there. And it's like, oh my God, you money hungry grifters. It's like, bitch, I've made like $2 off this. Okay. Pump the brakes. Not happening. So, I mean, it does frustrate me when people do a lot of the things they do.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, all those people, they're getting paid. This is what they're doing. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't know how you, I don't know. I would never do that. As much as I would love to be able to live off of, super chats and all that stuff, I could never do the stuff that they do.
No, I mean, I don't feel bad whatsoever about people making money. I wouldn't feel bad if we did, because this stuff takes a lot of time and effort. A lot of time and effort. Like, think about the people streaming trials like you. You're on there for like 8 hours at a time. I'm not physically sit on there for 8 hours. So the fact that even you do it is shocking to me. So, I don't feel bad about it, but I'm not going to be a piece of shit to do it. Like, that's just not okay. I don't like some of the tactics.
No, yeah.
Sensationalizing things. I don't have a problem with people's thumbnails and stuff. Because here's the thing. You can talk all the crap you want to, but if your thumbnail doesn't stand out, nobody's stopping on it on YouTube. So I don't care if they use these, oh my God, whatever. That's fine. But actually going outside people's houses and stuff, that's not okay. It's just not.
Yeah, speaking of intimidation, like, do you think that's why Jen McCabe and those were there? I mean, just the way that they weren't even, like, I get Paul O'Keefe, he's staring at Karen Reed almost the entire time and all that, but they weren't. Like, they were looking directly across the courtroom at the jurors, and whether or not there was intimidation or whatever, I mean, it just adds to the whole thing that's going on there. I mean, because have you seen what it looked like?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I just assumed they were there because I think they really think she was going to get found guilty immediately, and they wanted to be there for it,
But I mean, just the straight, like.
But were they there? How much of it were they there for? Because I know they were there when the mistrial.
Yeah, they were there during. They were there during closing, when the jury got the case. They were there.
Now, see, that would seem more like intimidation, because why do it when they've already come out? You know what I mean? Like, what good does that do? Like, ooh, you got me. I've already come out here and signed the papers, but I'm so intimidated. But I mean, being there during closing, I could see maybe being intimidating to people.
And they may not even been doing that.
But it's
because
it's not a good case.
Look. No, because of all the stuff, it looks like they were. I mean, they have a right to be there. Everybody has a right to be there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they do have a right to be there. It's just.
And I mean, let's be honest, with people talking all that they have about them, and they're, like we say, half the people are for Karen Reed, half are against. So the half for her have probably treated them very badly. So
sure.
I could see them wanting to be there to be like, you know what, screw all y'all, she's guilty. And then she wasn't. So that had to suck.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody could find her guilty. I'm shocked beyond belief that anyone could sit there and have it, like a 6th grade education and read those forms and think that any of that happened. Like, I don't understand. Like I could have seen her do it, and nothing on those forms or that was said during that trial proved it. They didn't even prove that she was driving that night over there. Like they couldn't prove anything. It was so ridiculous. It was like a week or two into the trial before they even had anybody talking about his actual like injuries and stuff. It's like, shouldn't we have heard this like day one?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't hear what they thought happened until I think Proctor. And if he's the one introducing the theory as to what they think happened, I mean, really? Like, how can you believe anything he has to say? How would you? How would you believe anything? And listening to the lawyer, and there's people on both sides of the fence that love this dude. I mean,
I love him.
I mean, he's great. Yeah, he's absolutely great.
Him.
He even said, I mean, they didn't really prove she was driving, because he said that if he was defending a DUI case like this, minus the whole death part, but just the DUI part of it, he said, that's what I would do. That's what I would go after, because they didn't even prove she was in the car. And I mean, and that's a dude that's got like, what, 20,000 people watching him?
Yeah.
And he goes,
he's like, I'd be so happy if this were my case. I'd be like, they ain't proved anything. This is slam dunk for me.
Yeah. I mean, so it's like, it's not just us saying that. It's somebody saying, I would use that as a defense, that they didn't even prove she was driving. So, I mean, you start to look at all that. It's hard. It's hard for me to believe that many people, they're saying 6'6".
Yes, he is very easy on the eyes. I would like to add that I really hope when y'all are on someone else's channel, you're talking about how hot we are. Because that would make me feel a lot better.
Look, I know I'm not winning. I know I'm not winning against that dude in a beauty contest. I mean, that's a good looking dude. I mean, and he's smart. Yeah. He is. I guess he just.
But you know what? I mean, he is a good looking guy, but honestly, I don't think it would matter how he looked. Everything he has to say makes sense. He makes it on a level where everybody can understand it. And he's very nice. And he's kind of tries to stay middle of the road. I mean, he'll give you an opinion, but he's not trying to sensationalize and trash people. So I really like that, because I do feel like I'm getting actual information and getting something from it.
Yeah, which is why he has so many people on his page. He absolutely should. He is pretty unbiased. The only thing I heard him say was he was talking about something, and somebody in the chat said, well, Trooper Proctor provided that. And he was like, well, I mean, if he did, then I don't think you can believe it. Right. So even a dude that's like middle of the road, he is trying to be as unbiased as possible. Even he's like, Proctor, no. I mean, I don't know. And look at they love my guest, or your guest. Look, they're trying to turn on me. That's hilarious. All right. Well, it's been an hour, and that's plenty.
Enough. I worked all day. I'm tired. Well, worked and held this dog so it could be groomed.
Oh yeah, our new dog.
Oh my goodness.
He bit the groomer today.
He did. He straight up did. I felt so bad.
When did we get him?
What? April? When?
Yeah,
I think so.
He still doesn't like our son. Even when he just opens his bedroom door and he starts to growl. And then he loses his mind.
It's kind of almost funny because it makes him so mad.
If he wasn't so loud,
the
dog wasn't so loud, it would be funny. But he loses his mind anytime he kind of walks into the living room. He runs from me. I mean, like if I'm sitting down, he'll come over and whatever. But if I'm standing up, nope, runs away. He hates everybody.
He's gonna hate me.
Well, almost everybody. What?
He cuddles with me. He gets under the blanket and everything. So I don't know. I don't have any problems with him.
He's a bit of a psycho.
He is insane.
Okay. Well, you're welcome, MJ. I'm glad we could give you that. If anybody wants to talk, again, I would love to. I would love to discuss this stuff with you if you are Karen Reed did it. Seriously. Like I'm opening to listen. I really am. Because I want to understand what some of those jurors were saying. Maybe you can explain it to me.
And I will look up this dog trainer thing. This dog
training. I did contact one.
Lord knows we need it.
For sure. All right, guys. Until next time. See you.